Well, and it's such a 180. And I mean, think about this even from your kids' standpoint. Kind of message this sends to them? Like, no matter what stage you're on in your life, out of your life, no matter how comfortable you are, if you want to take the bull by the horns and heading off in another direction, go for it.
No, for sure. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I'm understanding today is, and you could spend your whole life trying to figure it out, but I think we're here to figure out what our purpose is. And I think it probably changes over time. But I was going to say, both the kids, we've always encouraged them to chase their dreams from early days. And of course, my daughter reminds me to say, chasing your dreams doesn't always count for a lot of money, Dad.
Now that sounds like something the parents would say, not your kids. That's beautiful. You've done a great job, Doug.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of both of the kids for sure.
Now, how do you answer that when they say that?
Well, I mean, it's a really challenging thing to do, Scott, because your friends, your family, your peers, society in general doesn't really let you do that.
No.
Because when you start adding up what success means, it's not necessarily seen that way. And I think it's incredibly hard to do it, but you do see people do it. I said I can't. I'm more than fortunate to be given a chance to be doing this right now, and that's all I look at it right now and very thankful every day right now for it.
So are you at the stage where obviously the actor is out, you're working on PR for that, and you've started the second one? For you, is it like an organ grinder? I just can't get these things out fast enough, or is it a laborious task, knowing that you got to write another one now?
Well, I'm finding right now with the actor, I'm super pleased with how the actor turned out, and I starting to get some professional editing and things like that really helped a lot. But it actually fell into my hands, a continuation of it, and so I can't actually get it down fast enough right now.
Yeah.
So, like you said, there's the honeymoon period right now, and how I'm hoping that continues to last because I have written literally for years. But we're gonna have to wait to see. But I'm pretty excited about it right now.
How do you write a novel? And obviously, we're looking for the Coles Notes version of this. But is it something where you have in your mind a beginning, a middle, and an end, or do you just start going, thinking, I'm going to see where it takes me?
Well, the actor's a bit of a crazy story because it started really, literally in '98. I'd already written a book and found out that the hard part is not the writing; it's actually trying to get it out and published. But we saw the Titanic, and I saw an idea for it, and literally had started day after day and started writing it. And after a year or two 2 pages a day, you've got 800 to 1,000 pages. You've got a novel in front of you that you can work with. You keep those things, for me, I keep them like things pop in and keep them in the back of your head, and you just keep writing. Some days it's terrible. Some days it's incredibly inspiring, and some days you read it and you get the exact opposite from what you thought you had the day before. But that's how it kind of happened for me on this one. I thought really we were I was on my way, had found an agent finally, but as it turned out that didn't work, and they went into the drawer and on the shelf. And it wasn't until like 2 years ago that I actually, after numerous rewrites, I pulled it back out and got some professional help, and that really helped a lot as far as readers and people looking at it and being able to say what makes sense and how to really move forward.
Does it change much when you hand it over to someone else to edit that way?
The story that I wrote, like 10 years ago, and what it is today, I see what it's about, but it's a very different story I'll say on a few different levels. So it did change a lot. One of the things comments that I did get was, and I think because it sat around and simmered for so long, was I was really willing to change. And apparently that's a struggle for a lot of authors, is when editors get in and want to change it, nobody wants to change what they wrote.
There's the structure, there's the engineering coming out.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And you want to save it. Oh, I can't get rid of that part. I had to. Literally had to cut the book in half. Like I had to take half of it away in order to really get to something that was publishable, which is where the actor is today.
How do you know when it's done? Because couldn't you keep just writing this forever, like you said, keep perfecting it? How do you know when it's all right, it's done?
It's funny you ask that, because I was going to say probably mid-last September of 2012 was when I actually figured out what this story was about. And once that came about, it was easy to get to the end. And it's a feeling. It's how do how do you kind of figure out a lot of those things? It's just there's a thing.
It'd be no different than how do you tell when a song's finished? How do you when you're writing a song?
That's a great similarity actually. It's you just get to a point where you're comfortable with it. Sometimes it's shorter than you thought. Sometimes it's a lot longer than you thought.
How did you get to the? Now we're going to talk about what it's about. Do you want to give a little synopsis, or do you want me just to read what you've got here?
Well, I can just
give us a little. Tell us what it's about.
Because I'm very hesitant to talk too much because it's so easy to spoil something.
Yes, you don't want to do that.
But the story really starts out with a young man who Ethan Jones is the main character of the story, walking up a street in California with the script to a movie that he has been awarded, a major motion picture, dream come true. And he walks up the street and he comes back to his apartment all excited, and he gets to the door, and the door is open, like slightly open, and he doesn't quite understand, so he opens it, and literally his world changes.
There you go. The rest is set. The scenario of an actor, even is it about the situation, or is it about what happens to him? Why did you pick an actor?
I picked an actor because I see we're a big movie family and have for years, and I always thought combining with my engineering background, I always thought, what if somebody just decided to change and just go and do something different? So you pick up and you go to Hollywood to be a movie star. And what would you go through? And that's really what I'll say the impetus at the beginning. Way back in '98, we were at the Titanic watching the movie, and that's when I kind of got the initial inspiration for it.
And in the end, that's you.
Well, there's a few people that like to say that, Scott.
Well, of course, yeah. I certainly haven't read the book, and I don't want to spoil anything that's here. So I'm sure that's where the similarity ends. But in a sense, it's somebody who chased their dream.
Well, as you get more into the book and what the book became, it became, I'll say, much more than that.
I hope so.
Because that would be relatively quick. But it was very, and that's why I said when you start, it's simmering. I call it a simmering process when it has to sit around. Because so much of today, you got to have everything hot and ready to go, and zip, PowerPoints and everything. And there is a part of that, and I call it simmering, where things just have to lie for a while and formulate what they're actually going to become. And that's really, to me, what's happened with the actor.
Are any friends envious of you?
I've had terrific support. That's all I can really say. I haven't.
Have lots said, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or meaning not necessarily become a writer, but certainly chase their dream?
Well, it's funny because a few people have actually commented to me about, I've always thought about writing. That's one you've heard quite a bit. And it always takes me back to a story of Margaret Lawrence that I read years ago, and she was at this dinner party with a number of socialites, and apparently a surgeon had come up to her and said, I hear that you're a writer, and when I retire, I'd like to be a writer. And her answer to that was, well, when I retire, I'm thinking of becoming a surgeon. And I always thought that was quite perfect.
Oh, enough said there. All right, so how do we get this? Where can we find it?
It's I'm pretty lucky right now because it's literally launched worldwide through most online book distributors. So Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Chapters. You can get it from the publisher iUniverse, which is right online. It's starting to get in a few bookstores. I'm trying to push that even further.
What's that like when you go into a bookstore and you see your book there?
Well, I've only had it once so far because of being so much with the on-demand printing.
Right.
Most of it's online. That's one of the thrills I'm still waiting for.
Good for you. All right, so and website we can go to find out more about all of this?
iUniverse is probably the best. That's the publisher.
Okay.
We do have a book trailer out, which would be great to get out and just literally search on the actor, Douglas Gardham. That's something I worked on with my son, and I was going to say that's kind of a neat thing as another promo thing. But
wow.
Literally, Chapters and Amazon are probably the way to go right now, and hopefully we'll be in a few book signings in the near future.
All right. The Actor, a novel. Douglas Gardham is the author. Doug, what an absolute thrill to have you on. What an incredible story, and I'm telling you, an inspiration. I'm getting goosebumps here just thinking of it and wondering if I'm even going to come back to do a radio show tomorrow. Good luck to you, Doug.
Hey, Scott, thanks so much for having me on.
All right, anytime. The Actor, a novel, Douglas Gardham. Look for it in, of course, all the usual outlets.